For 23 years, the restless spirit of a man named Victor Lawson wandered trapped inside a hospital, unable to return home. One day, that spirit finally possessed a woman visiting the hospital and begged strangers to take him back to his family. This story was sent by a man named Michael Carter. A few months earlier, Michael and his wife had moved back to their hometown after years working in the city. He bought a car and started driving passengers for hire. Michael considered himself fearless. He often drove through lonely roads and graveyards late at night while listening to ghost stories. Despite that, he had never personally experienced anything supernatural before. One evening, he drove two older passengers to a large provincial hospital. They were visiting family members there. After dropping them off, Michael prepared to leave when another elderly couple approached him. The husband looked worried. The wife looked pale and weak, with red, swollen eyes as though she had been crying. The husband asked if Michael could drive them somewhere urgently. He handed over a paper containing an address about 30 kilometers away. Michael agreed. As they entered the car, he noticed something strange. The woman carried no medicine, medical records, or hospital paperwork. She simply sat silently, staring out the window. Trying to make conversation, Michael asked what illness brought them to the hospital. The husband sighed deeply and replied, "We never even got to see the doctor. Before her turn came up, he demanded to leave." Michael immediately felt confused. Why would he refer to his wife as he? The husband noticed Michael's reaction and quietly said, "I know this sounds crazy, but the spirit inside my wife right now isn't actually my wife." Michael laughed nervously, assuming it was a joke. But the man's expression remained deadly serious. Before Michael could speak again, the woman suddenly turned toward him and spoke in a strange, raspy voice. "He's telling the truth. I borrowed this woman's body because I want to go home. I've been trapped for decades." Cold chills ran through Michael's body. The husband explained what had happened earlier at the hospital. While waiting for his wife's turn to see the doctor, nurses repeatedly called her name. She sat motionless with her head lowered. When he shook her shoulders, she suddenly lifted her face and began sobbing uncontrollably. Everyone in the waiting room stared. She cried as though heartbroken beyond words. Then suddenly she begged, "Please take me home. I miss my family so much." At first, her husband thought she had gone insane. But another patient whispered, "Sir, I think your wife might be possessed." Terrified, he finally asked directly, "Who are you?" The woman struck her chest with both hands and answered, "My name is Victor Lawson." The husband had never heard that name before. The spirit explained that he died in that hospital more than 20 years earlier and had never managed to return home. When asked where he lived, the spirit said he no longer remembered clearly. He only remembered the village name and nearby landmarks. So the husband gave him paper and a pen. The spirit shakily wrote down an address. That was the address handed to Michael. As they drove through the countryside, the spirit stared silently out the window. After a while, he suddenly spoke. "This road used to be tiny and muddy. It's huge now." Michael replied, "That was over 20 years ago. Everything changed." Later, the spirit recognized an old rice factory beside the road. "That factory was already there back then," he said quietly. "You're driving the right way." Eventually, they reached a rural village. The spirit became emotional immediately. "That shrine used to look different," he whispered. "I helped organize festivals there every year." He guided Michael deeper into the village until finally asking him to stop in front of a modern house near a riverbank. A tall coconut tree stood beside a small wooden dock. The spirit stared at it for a long moment. "That tree is still alive," he said softly. "This must be my home." As they stepped out of the car, a middle-aged man approached suspiciously. The spirit suddenly spoke to him casually like an old friend. "Aren't you Benjamin Reed, son of old Mr. Reed?" The man looked annoyed and confused. From his perspective, an elderly woman was speaking to him like a senior relative. "Yes," he answered carefully, "but who are you?" The spirit smiled sadly. "It's me, Victor." The man froze. Michael and the husband quickly explained everything. At first, Benjamin refused to believe them. But then the spirit began naming personal details about the village and Victor's family. He knew Victor's youngest son's name. He knew the ages of grandchildren. He even knew recent hospital visits involving family members. Benjamin's face slowly turned pale. Then an older woman emerged from the house. The moment the spirit saw her, he burst into tears. "My dear, I missed you and the children so much." The woman recoiled in fear, convinced strangers were trying to scam her. Michael and the husband hurriedly explained the entire story again. The spirit then revealed intimate memories that only husband and wife could possibly know. He described the first day they met. He described private moments from their marriage. He described exactly how he died. Only then did the old woman finally collapse into tears. She hugged the possessed woman desperately while sobbing. "It's really you." Soon their children arrived. Each one questioned the spirit separately. Every answer was correct. The spirit remembered childhood stories, old arguments, forgotten family secrets, and even embarrassing incidents involving neighbors. At one point, an elderly neighbor jokingly tried testing him. The spirit immediately exposed an affair the neighbor once had decades earlier. The poor man turned pale green and stopped talking instantly. Eventually, the family asked what had truly happened after Victor died. The spirit explained quietly. When he died in the hospital, two strange figures approached him and told him to follow them. He assumed they were hospital staff. But after leading him away, they abandoned him. When he returned to his hospital bed, another patient already occupied it. Nobody could hear or see him anymore. Only after looking into a mirror and seeing no reflection did he realize he was dead. Other wandering spirits later told him he had been taken by mistake. According to them, his actual lifespan had not ended yet. But after the mistake happened, dark entities trapped him inside the hospital. Every time he tried escaping, they dragged him back violently. He claimed he was forbidden from contacting family members directly. Whenever relatives visited the hospital over the years, he tried desperately to appear in dreams or send signs. But nobody understood. Finally, after 23 years, he was allowed to leave if a living person carried him home willingly. That was why he possessed the woman at the hospital. After spending several emotional hours reunited with his family, the spirit finally said goodbye. The husband begged gently, "Sir, please leave my wife now." Moments later, the woman collapsed unconscious. She remained asleep nearly 30 minutes before waking up completely confused. Victor Lawson's family thanked Michael and the couple endlessly. They even offered money, but both refused. On the drive back, the woman explained that before blacking out at the hospital, she remembered seeing an old man sitting against the wall staring at her intensely. Then he slowly approached her. Suddenly her vision spun and everything went dark. The next thing she remembered was waking up inside Victor's family home. Michael later admitted that although he normally doubted supernatural stories, this experience completely changed him. There was simply no way a stranger could know decades of intimate family history so perfectly. The second story involved Michael's wife, Olivia. Back when they were teenagers, Michael was reckless and irresponsible. Olivia's family strongly opposed their relationship. One day, after a violent argument with her parents, Olivia ran outside carrying a bottle of pesticide, intending to kill herself. Before drinking it, she texted Michael, "I'm gonna die." Then she threw her phone into the water. Michael raced 15 kilometers to her house in minutes. When he arrived, he found Olivia unconscious beside the unopened poison bottle. Thankfully, she never drank it. The next day, Olivia insisted Michael take her to a clinic. Doctors discovered she was already several months pregnant. Olivia later confessed that before losing consciousness, she saw a mysterious woman wearing a white traditional outfit approach her. The woman scolded her angrily. "Are you stupid? What about your parents? What about the little girl inside your stomach? Are you trying to kill two lives at once?" Only afterward did Olivia discover she was pregnant. Their families arranged a rushed marriage. At first, Michael remained immature and irresponsible. But everything changed when Olivia nearly died giving birth during a difficult labor. While waiting outside the operating room, Michael fell asleep from exhaustion. In his dream, the same mysterious woman in white appeared again. She told him, "I'm helping deliver your wife's baby. After this, become a real man and take care of your family." Moments later, Michael woke up just as doctors announced the surgery succeeded. From that day forward, he changed completely. He quit partying, worked hard, and devoted himself to his wife and daughter. Years later, while living in a rented apartment in the city, Olivia began experiencing terrifying paranormal activity whenever Michael worked night shifts. She felt paralyzed in bed. She heard footsteps walking around the room. Finally, they performed a small offering ritual. That night, Olivia dreamed of a middle-aged woman. The woman smiled and said, "I only teased you because you moved into my place without greeting me properly. But your offering showed respect. I won't bother you anymore." She then requested, "Whenever you eat, let's share meals together." Olivia obeyed. After that, all paranormal disturbances stopped completely. Their finances improved steadily. Years later, the spirit woman appeared in another dream holding a baby boy. She told Olivia, "I asked heaven to give you this child." A few months later, Olivia unexpectedly became pregnant despite using birth control carefully. She gave birth to a son who looked exactly like the child from the dream. Before Michael and Olivia finally moved back to their hometown years later, the spirit woman appeared one final time in Olivia's dream. She smiled warmly and blessed their future. Michael ended his story by saying something he would never forget. Not every ghost is evil. Sometimes the living hurt each other far worse than the dead ever could.